Majors fans, and welcome back to Majors Quarantine Corner, presented by Fanshawe College, the official educational partner of the London Majors. I'm Noah Smith. Dylan Baker with me here as we welcome you back for episode 3 of Quarantine Corner. Dylan, we're just getting started with all these fantastic interviews, but last week, Robert Doyle, and what a great interview it was.
It sure was, Noah. It was a phenomenal interview with Robert Doyle, a two-way player, one of many that are starting to pop up around the IBL and baseball in general in this time with the guys like Shohei Ohtani in the MLB. Robert has been with the Majors for quite a long time, and it was great to chat with him about his experience in London and playing baseball prior to that, including a few lighter questions as well.
Going with the hometown kid approach for this episode, as well as Mike Ambrose will be joining us today in just a little bit. Mike, of course, a London native as well, and a longtime London Major, one of the more familiar faces for a lot of fans. This is going to be an exciting one for us, Dylan.
It definitely is. And you know what? The more guys have seniority around the London Majors and the organization, the more fun it becomes, because Mike's got so many great stories throughout his tenure with the Majors, and that's been a long one. He's been with the team for several years. So we're very excited to get a chance to chat with him.
Mike will join us in just a second. And coming up next week, we're going to have a former London Major. Chris Chambers will be joining us, and another great guy to talk to. He spent time with the Majors over the last 10 years, and he's going to have some good stories as well.
Yeah, he definitely is. You know, he spent time with the Majors earlier on in this past decade. In 2011, I believe, was his first season with the team. Chris has a few great stories, I'm sure, so we're excited to get a chance to chat with him.
Just a reminder that the London Majors team store remains open, and we got word that we'll be getting some more stock coming in as well. So make sure you head to the London Majors website to get everything you need to support the London Majors. Another big thank you goes out to all our healthcare workers, frontline workers, and everyone else who's helping us get through it. Looks like we're starting to get back to normal a little bit here, but we remind you to keep being cautious and keep following all those precautions.
Yeah, for sure. Keep physical distancing, right? It's a big part of preventing the spread of this virus. And now that businesses are starting to open up a little bit, it's even more important to make sure that you're socially distancing, that you aren't within 6 feet of the person in front of you, whether that's in line at a store. And we thank all the frontline workers, as you mentioned, Noah, and we wish good luck to everyone reopening.
Without further ado, Dylan, we'll go ahead and we'll welcome our guest here on episode 3 of Majors Quarantine Corner. It is Mr. Michael Ambrose from right here in London.
Set. Runners off on 1-2. That one hit left center field. Chasing it down. Diving grab. Makes the catch. They'll throw back to 1, but Spataro is standing on third base. It's a double play, and the inning is over. Wow, Dylan.
What a play by Mike Ambrose out in left field. We were interested to see how he would fare in his first start in left field. A diving grab and a double play.
We are joined now by Mike Ambrose. Mike, how is it going today?
Oh, it's going. You know, another day. It's a beautiful day outside. Happy to get outside for a couple walks. It's all we can really do right now.
Yeah, you know, it's tough to get out there and do a lot right now in this quarantine period, but it's a beautiful day outside. So I know I went out there and spent some time outdoors. Glad you were able to as well. Let's jump right in, Mike. And so you grew up in London, and we have a great picture of you going to Labatt Park as a young kid. I believe it said 2008, 2006. I can't quite remember on the picture. Did you ever dream of playing for the Majors or look up to any Majors players growing up?
Honestly, 100%. I was part of the London Majors summer camps as a kid. That picture that you guys are showing there, that's a hilarious picture. I used to go down every single Friday night, and, you know, Roop can tell you the exact same thing. I was sitting right beside that bench running for foul balls just like the kids do today. And guys I looked up to, I could definitely say Steve Froese is actually – it's kind of awesome that I got to play with him, because when I was a kid in 2007, 2008, he was a part of that team, and I got to watch him play third, and he was always close to the bench, so I really liked. And I was a shortstop when I was a little bit younger, so I liked the way he played, and he always, you know, very hardworking guy, and he brought that even last year. So looking up to him was great, and, you know, all those guys, and actually Max Explosion, he was actually our third base coach, I think, a couple of years ago. And it's pretty funny. He was actually the instructor. So it's full circle how things come around, where he was, you know, my instructor teaching me as a kid. And then, you know, he was my third base coach 2016. So it's pretty crazy how life comes full circle.
Yeah, exactly. And you say all the time, you had that dream of playing for the majors. Is that something that helped drive you to get where you are today and continue your career playing in London?
100%. I mean, nothing's better than playing in front of your family and friends. And, you know, growing up in London, you hear so much about the London majors and the route and the organization that they put together. And, Cleve was, when I was, I think, 14 or 15 years old, I got hitting lessons from Cleveland. So 5, 6 years before I started even playing for the majors or even thinking that I was an option, Cleveland was teaching me how to hit in the cage. So, just being young and having that drive to, this would be, I thought would be, the biggest step of my life. But going across to Australia and playing was a huge step as well. But driving as a kid, making all that hard work pay off is definitely successful.
That's awesome. And you were talking about Cleveland Brownlee there. Last Canada Day, you both reached some pretty big milestones. Cleveland hit his 100th career IBL home run, and you had your 200th career IBL hit. What was that moment like for you?
Honestly, like I wasn't, to be completely honest, I wasn't really thinking about it. Before the game and a couple of games before, people had mentioned to me that I was getting close to 200 hits. And I mean, it's a crazy milestone. You don't really think about, 5, 6 years in the league and, composing 200 hits. For me, it feels really nice. And, it's a nice honor. And to do it right beside Cleveland in the same game, that's something that I'll remember forever. And when he hit that home run to break the record, I was right there and, first one to give him a big hug and stuff like that. He's a huge inspiration to me, that's for sure.
Sticking with a little bit of the on-field success, in more recent memory, 2016, you guys had a very good team, IBL pennant winners. What was that like, and what was so special about that team?
I would just say day in and day out, everyone came and they had their job and they did their job. The pitchers came. We had an amazing bullpen that year, great group of guys. Todd Levitt, Ben Runyon, Jordan Skavinsky, all great, great dudes off the field, but bring that intense, ready to win attitude to the field. And they helped us out a lot that year. And, we brought in some amazing imports and Le'Jon Baker, who, came in and we didn't really know too much about him, but came in, switch hitting outfielder, and he solidified himself in this 5th spot. And, it was awesome hitting in front of him, or behind him, sorry. And, we brought everything together. We had amazing, Canadian starters with Owen Boone and Corey Hammond. Those 1-2 guys are, lights out. Corey Hammond to this day is my favorite pitcher to catch. We got that connection and London boys and stuff like that. And then we brought Oscar and Ellie in, and those guys just complimented to our team. And it was just, we gelled so perfectly and we made a perfect run outside of baseball on the field. We were all just really good buddies. And to this day, RJ, Todd Levitt, like I said, we're all still in contact. We all still do Zoom calls. We all still hang out and talk as much as we can.
That's great. Team camaraderie is obviously a huge key to success. Just how important is it for a team success?
I mean, I think it's the most success, like probably the most part of the success that you need, right? You need people to get along and realize that, hey, it doesn't take just 9 guys to win a game. It takes all those 25 guys when it goes all the way down to the bat boy, right? That bat boy is not doing his job. The next person's not doing his job. It all falls in place. So when everybody comes to the ballpark ready to work and is there because 1, they love baseball, and 2, because it's their job, it makes things a lot easier and it makes baseball a lot more fun.
Over your career with London, and like you mentioned in your minor career as well, you played all over the diamond. You still do play a number of different positions. How difficult is it to change from position to position, and how do you manage that?
Day in and day out, you never know what could happen. I mean, Roop likes to put his team together where everybody can play multiple positions, and wherever he needs to put you, he's going to put you. And if you succeed, you're going to stay there. I mean, for me, I love playing all over the diamond. You put me in the lineup, I'm going to give you 100%, whether it's catching, whether it's third, whether it's first, whether it's left field, right field. I think the only 2 positions or 3 positions I haven't played are, I think, center field, shortstop, and pitching. But don't ever count out pitching because I'm trying to get on route for that. That's for sure. But, I mean, I love it. Just get me in the lineup. I'll do whatever I can, to make our team win. And that's my attitude going in when I walk into the change room every day. So
that's a great attitude to have coming in each day for games and practices. Now, like you mentioned, you've played everywhere except for center field, second base, and pitcher. Is there a position that you prefer over the rest, though?
I'm a catcher. Till the day I die. Calling a game, being in control, having, being able to see the entire field, making sure people are in the right positions, talking to guys, there's no better feeling than being a catcher. Seeing, getting a strikeout or throwing a guy out at second, it's a very good feeling being a catcher.
Now, you spent some time in college while you were playing with the majors and before. How did that help prepare you to playing with London?
I would say it helped me prepare mentally because you see some very, very good talent in IBL, and I saw some pretty good guys in college when I went to Lake Michigan College. And then I eventually came to Fanshawe, and we were facing some guys on St. Clair that were bringing some heat, and we were teammates, and, Noah, those guys were very good. And those guys were I don't know where guys from Panama, I forget, they were pumping 90. And, in college, when you haven't seen that as a 17, 18-year-old kid, you haven't seen that yet. It definitely helped me for the majors, but I can definitely say Australia put me in that mindset to come to the majors and play hard. So,
Mike, you spent some time in college prior to joining the majors. How did you get your start with the majors organization?
Well, it was actually, I was very lucky, and, the St. Thomas Tomcats, they were my junior team, and it was actually almost a luck of the draw where I came back from college. I was kind of considering playing for the majors. I was kind of considering playing, Tomcats full time. So I was half Tomcats, half London Majors for half the season. And it was very tough because as a kid, all I wanted to be was a London Major, but I was still a little bit too young to be playing full time with them. And I'm honestly not good enough. But seeing those guys half the year there and being able to go back and play junior really, really helped me evolve as a player. I was very fortunate enough to be able to watch some very good baseball players as I would say backup catcher, third catcher on the bench, whatever group needed, I was there to do. So going in from, Tomcats to majors, it was pretty tough, but I just went out for a tryout, and Roop really liked me, and he knew me from the camps as a kid and knew I worked hard. So it was just kind of luck of the draw that I got in there.
On the topic of camps, as you were a kid, you're involved with them now, but you're on the other side of things. What is your favorite part about doing that and teaching the kids the game and being involved in something that you were involved in as a kid?
Yeah, it's something that, I'm so happy about every day. Like I said, life comes full circle, and it's just crazy that Max was my instructor. Now I'm instructing kids, and you never know, one of these kids could be in my position in 10 to 15 years, and I always tell them that. And I start the camp out with, everyone's a little bit nervous the first day, and I just want everyone to know that, I was in this camp when I was a kid. I did everything that you guys are doing, and I had a blast. The London Majors camp is, we do instructional part in the morning, baseball, everything like that. Then we get into some fun games, and we go to the splash pad, and the kids have a great time. And it really humbles me, and it brings me back to why I love baseball. We're in this grind of 3 games a weekend plus practicing Monday, Wednesdays, and then you're at the field training yourself, and you kind of get a little bit lost in the swing of things. And then the month of July, it really brings me back down to level, and you realize where you started and what these kids what you mean to them, because they look at you like you're an MLB superstar, like how I looked up to Max. And for me, that's all I ever wanted. I want people to look up to me, and I try to live my life to show people that, you work hard, good things will happen no matter, what circumstance you're under.
That's fantastic. And I know for me personally, I attended a few of the London Majors camps, and I do remember you being there and helping out, and you learn a lot at those camps. So another question here, it's a tough time right now for everybody, obviously. What have you been doing to try and keep in shape in isolation?
It is a tough time, and I hope everyone's staying safe at home, and everyone's staying healthy. But for me right now, I'm just a daily runner. I've never liked running, but being stuck at home, I need to get outside. And like I said, playing 3 games a weekend and 2 practices a week, that's a very active schedule. And going from doing that to absolutely we're not allowed to do anything, it's tough. But I live right beside Westmount Mall, and I go over to the mall and I'll throw as much as I can until they tell me to leave. So, and that's about it right now, doing just running and stuff like that. But hitting wise, it's tough because you can't get onto a field. People are there to kick you off, or, we can't get to Labatt Park. So it's it's tough, but I'm doing everything I can. But I do have to give a shout out to my girlfriend. She's definitely helped me out with my receiving. She's been throwing me balls, and just little catch and drills that we can do in the house, she's been helping me out with. So big shout out to her.
Good to hear. We're going to move on now to some fan questions that were submitted to kind of, get some help and get some more insight on you. This one comes in from Robert Mayorga. What kind of preparations go into calling a game for a catcher, and do you have any advice for young catchers?
Calling a game, I was fortunate enough to be underneath Mike Lumley, who is a ex-professional pitcher and someone who knows the game, I think, better than almost anyone that I've ever played for. He really taught me how to call a game and how to manage a game and know what pitches to call and how to call them. And I would say for young catchers, blocking is one of the things that I had to overcome when I was younger. And, get hit by that ball, you think that, it's going to hurt every single time. But after a while, I know it sounds weird, but you get used to it. You get used to it, and those balls that, hurt when last year might not hurt this year. It's all mental. You put your body in front of there for your team, and, your pitcher can sense that, if you throw your body down in front of a curveball, he can throw that pitch there every time, and you're going to block it. And I mean, to have that confidence in a catcher, I feel pitchers, it's huge.
Mike, catching is one of the toughest positions to play, in my opinion. I'm sure you would agree with me there. This question comes from a variety of different fans. We had a ton of fans ask this question. Do you have a favorite place to play outside of Labatt Park?
I'd have to say for me, that's easy. In junior, we played Brantford, Kitchener, all those guys. We had a junior inter-county, and I would definitely have to say Brantford. When I was in junior, they made signs for me to, chirping me and all that stuff. And, to go to an opposing team's stadium and they have signs for you, and you're doing something right. So, and I always find a way to get a couple hits in Brantford. And, I'm a Yankees fan, so going there, it's playing the Red Sox, and it's a little bit extra incentive for me when I play there. So I love playing there.
One final question coming in from a fan. This one's from Keith Candell. He wants to know how much cola was consumed from 2016 to 2018.
Enough to get a sponsorship by Coca-Cola if you're listening. Our team was a couple colas deep a day. I would definitely say our team enjoyed Coca-Cola before, after, couple during, just one of those things. Just a little inside joke with the boys, and if they're listening to this, miss you boys, and liter of cola.
It's awesome.
Well, good to hear, Mike. Thanks for joining us today, and good luck in quarantine.
Appreciate it, guys. Take care, stay safe, and to all the London Majors fans, we hope to see you soon, if not next year.
That was Mike Ambrose, current London Major and hometown London boy. Another great interview for us, Dylan, getting to pick the brain and really hear a lot of great stories from Mike.
Yeah, Mike's a great guy to be around. He's fun to talk to. He knows so much about the game as a catcher. You've got to call the game. You've got to know the game very well, and Mike certainly does. A great baseball mind to talk to, and it's really interesting to see how much he wants to give back to the community, and in the variety of ways that he does that.
Absolutely. Mike talked about in there a few stories about how he once went to the London Majors kids camp. He learned from guys that he would later go on to share the bench with. And now he's there teaching the kids during the summer, hopefully telling them and sharing stories to them about how they could be in his position one day. It's really great to see Mike giving back to this London baseball community.
It definitely is, Noah. And, I was coaching an 8U team last year, and so many of them actually went to the Majors camp, and they were telling me about how much fun it was to be around Mike Ambrose, actually. And they mentioned him specifically and all the other guys that were helping out at the camp. The kids have a great time. It's a wonderful experience at the Majors camp, and Mike makes it a lot of fun for the players.
Well, another great interview for us in the books here on Majors Quarantine Corner. Coming up next week, it's former London Major Chris Chambers who will be joining us here on the show. What is for sure to be an exciting interview for us. We get to go a little bit further back than we have so far with some of our alumni. So we'll hopefully get to hear a few different stories from Chris, and we're really looking forward to that one.
We are, Noah, and Chris Chambers played earlier on in the 2010 decade with the Majors, and a fantastic talent with them in his time here in the IBL. And we're excited to get a chance to chat with him about and see if we can get some stories out of him from his time with the Majors.
Well, that'll do it for us here, Dylan, on this episode of Majors Quarantine Corner. We'd also like to give a big thank you, of course, to all our frontline and essential workers out there who are still helping us get through these tough times. Hopefully, brighter things are on the horizon and we're working our way through there, but we like to give our thank yous every chance we get.
Yeah, and we can't thank them enough for all the work that they're putting in, and things are starting to open up, and as we mentioned earlier on in the show, so we want to thank them for everything they've done in trying to facilitate this transition into a new normal.
Awesome. Well, from Dylan Baker, Noah Smith, we will look forward to seeing you next week.